All right. Just to qualify, I gave this talk at YAPC and more recently at OSCON London back in September. So this is very much a retread of just that. So you'll have to bear it. If you've seen it before, then hold on. Oh well. There. Following that last line back. Okay. Now we're ready to roll. Okay. I'm Jeff Goff, obviously, working currently with both Amazon and House Station. House Station is a game entirely written mostly in Perl, some in JavaScript. A lot in JavaScript, to be honest.
Not really.
Well,
Not you,
well, fix that then. This talk is available at github.com/DrForr. That is my online nick. So it's either that one or the OSCON version of the 3-hour tutorial that I'm giving in May in Austin. Very busy these days. The Blogspot site hasn't been updated in quite a while, as I am doing a lot more work with a Perl 6 parser written in Perl 6, and working on the upcoming O'Reilly book as well, learning Perl 6, along with a few other people that are probably here as well.
I'm not doing anything there.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Let's jump on in. For those of you that don't know how to get started, the important thing here is perl6.org. Where to go to get more info, where to get your downloads, where to get your fixes. Docs.perl6.org. There is a Perl 6 doc application for Recruito, but usually I get most of my docs from the site, and it's also updated much more often. In fact, before I left to go from Cluj over here, I looked at my queue and found roughly 50 to 60 doc updates in one day from 2 people. So it gets a lot of traffic and a lot of changes and a lot more updates. So if you want the latest and most accurate docs, by all means, go to the site. Where to go to get your modules. Already, thanks to Tajik, we have inline double-colon Perl 5, which means that Perl 6 has access to all of CPAN, Perl 5 CPAN, including access, I believe. So if you get stuck on a Perl 6 code, then by all means, go out, download a Perl 5 module, and use inline Perl 5 to link in that. So you have no excuse not to do something just because it's not on CPAN. It's not on modules Perl 6. By all means, go out to CPAN, add :from Perl 5 to your use statement, and it will import that for you. The really important one is where you get software. Right now it's hosted at recruito.org. We have MSI installs for Windows. I personally use on my laptop a VM for Linux. OS X, I believe it just uses a regular Recruiter root installer. I could be wrong. I don't have a Mac myself. Well, I do, but it's a storage. And I mentioned Recruiter root before. I should not mention that because we're trying to move people away from that. That's more of a developer thing if you have multiple versions of Recruiter installed. Which, by the way, is the Perl 6 compiler, just to keep that clear. So you bend out to modules.perl.org, and you need to download those. You need to make them worthwhile. So right now we have Tajik's Panda module, and installer is ready for is a CPAN minus client for Perl 6. There's also ZEF, Z-E-F, which is also available on GitHub. That lets you download modules as well. Right now, most of what we have is hosted at GitHub. That will change soon, if it hasn't already. We have plans in the works to integrate Perl 6 code into current CPAN. MST and a few other people are working on that. I don't know the current status right now, but is on the way. The most important resource, though, however, has to be the channel Perl 6 on Freenode. For those of you that have been online as long as I have, you may know what IRC is, but if you don't, then by all means go out to freenode.org, and they have web clients available out there to connect to pretty much anyone in the Perl community, including the bots sitting right over here on this corner. We're more than happy to answer questions and ask you more questions and get you going and get around whatever problems you might have. Also, if you're not quite sure yet, if you really want to go into this whole thing and want a little bit more feel for the language than I can give in 40 minutes time, then by all means check out Unicode. There are right now, last time I checked, 800 to 1,000 samples of Perl 6 code doing anything from for factor trees to Mandelbrot sets to basic programs from Project Euler all the way out to database queries and more examples of real-life Perl code. And it's helped me a great deal, if only to steal code from my Perl 6 parser test suite to find some of the more extreme examples of Perl 6 code. Wake up. So, why would you want to use Perl 6? The first thing, if you have ever seen, if you've ever dared poke into the tarball that is Perl 5 and looked at the hairball that is token.c inside the original file, then you'll see how Perl 5's parser and lexer and tokenizer interact and kind of meld into one gigantic lump. A lot of hair. By contrast, Perl 6 is designed to be a single-pass parsable grammar, which has a lot of good side effects. The first is that syntax errors and logic errors pop out much faster and are closer to the point of, will report us closer to the point of where they are, rather than doing error recovery and backtracking and missing the backtracking. So, for instance, I'm sure you're all familiar, and most of you are familiar with having an error, syntax error in C, and seeing C report the syntax error on line 7, and the actual problem is on line 2. Trying to find that. Single pass parsing means that we have a better chance of catching the syntax error at that point, rather than making you backtrack. Languages like Go and Rust and Ruby have put error messages at the forefront of people's consciousness, especially with Rust having long 7 or 8 line descriptions. Swift goes even further, having 6 or 7 dense lines detailing errors. Perl 6 wasn't quite at the start of that, but we picked up on that. And instead of errors being a terse single line mark, as you have been used to in Perl 5, you get a 3 to 4 line response detailing where the problem occurred, what character is that in the line, and a good way to how to fix it. I'll show you samples of that later on. Unicode friendly. That's not, it's more, we go to greater lengths than pretty much any language I know out there. To the point, I'm not going to spoil this slides later on for LTs, but in Perl 6, in Perl 5, you could have variables with sigil name, with non-lat1 characters. that would work out. You could probably do something strange with UTF-8 and put, characters in text. By contrast, Perl 6 lets you create your own custom operators in Unicode. You can implement the table flip operator, if you will, the 4 or 5 character with key line and someone pantomiming something, flipping a table, and say table flip array, and create that as an actual Unicode operator. I'll show some samples of that in a few slides. Math that works. This is big for the financial industry and for anything that is in the technical scientific community where you need actual accuracy. I'll go again in a little more detail on this later on, but Perl 6 takes the right route with math, and other languages haven't quite caught up yet. We're closer to, say, Haskell or Eiffel in terms of how it's handled. And if you are familiar at all with Common Lisp, Perl 6 follows basically the Common Lisp type tree or lattice. Function signatures. In Perl 5, it took up until what, 5.14 or so to get signatures. In Perl 6, we had them right off the bat. What's that?
520.
520? Yeah, I know we've had function double call signature for a while, and there's develop, declare, and all those hackish things. But Perl 6 has proper type, has proper function signatures, and can dispatch based on those. So if you choose to have, say, 4 or 5 subroutines with the same name, but different type signatures, say you're doing addition, you have a combination function that you want to combine int and int in one way, combine int and string in another way. You can name them all the same, and Perl 6 will choose what variant you want at runtime. Self-hosting Rail expressions, it is more than that, because Perl 6, the RA engine is the Perl 6 core engine. The RA engine that we're used to in Perl 5 with \d and pipe automation, stars, etc., is now in Perl 6 the core of a language. If you want to rewrite a language, you want to rewrite Perl 6 in another language, you have most of the work is going to be in rewriting the Rail expression engine. Once that's done, the rest of it should be cakewalk, because most of Perl 6 is self-hosted based on the RA engine. It is vastly improved over what we have in Perl 5. Still some optimization issues, but it is powerful enough that you could write an entire language using nothing but Perl 6 RAs. And in fact, that's what Perl 6 does. Custom operators. These will be a little more controversial. I happen to like them. I don't use them just because of issues with the current tool chain and editing systems out there, but you can create your own operators. It goes far beyond the use of overload that you may be familiar with in Perl 5, where you can overload plus, you can overload string operators, you can overload things to mean different things. Custom operators, you can create your own custom operator with the ring plus sign, which is common for XOR in maths. So you can create your own ring plus sign. Or you can even use, say, the core operator, which is the custom. I should be able to bring that up, but no, I haven't with me. Okay. You can even use set operators that are out of the Unicode math range, all the way up in the high 1F code page to create your own operators. I'll show samples of that later on.
One question.
Yeah.
When you use custom operators, is it still single pass passable grammar?
Yeah.
Okay.
The question was for those watching online, how do we square away the issue of being able to do a custom operator alongside the single pass grammar? That is because we have both the custom operators can be defined as a infix or a prefix or a postfix operator, and they'll slot into the process tree,
Okay.
or even post-infix. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Finally, and this is where we get a little bit of a leg up on languages such as Go and Java and Ruby. Perl 6 is built, has concurrency and multi-threading from the ground up. We are ready for the environment when your cell phone, like this one right here, has 64 cores. We're ready for that, almost. There are some qualifications there, but the idea is that array operations are going to be vectorized across multiple cores. That's not quite there yet, to my knowledge. The more VM engine is better with that than the JVM, again, to my knowledge. But the thing is that you can write your code with those in mind and not have to worry about them. When you get the upgrades to full multi-core parallelization, the code will change. The code doesn't change. Your processing doesn't change. You don't have to worry about results. It will come naturally as we do the upgrades. Now, let's make sure what I mean by scroll over this way is not quite large enough to, well, anyway, you have comments over on that side, so we're not doing the whole Python thing, and I'm not doing the whole business where we have the row of semicolons on the far side. I'm not a big fan there. But simple pass parsing has several implications. One thing that you'll notice here is, in general, aside from these colon last and colon first things, I don't use a lot of parents. And that's my style. I find that Perl 6 doesn't have much need for parents, aside from occasionally having to just ambiguate a method call on occasion. So I don't generally use that. This is some fairly straightforward Perl 6 code. One of the first major changes I can see, even not looking at the text, the @doctor variable on the far side and the @doctor bracket 0, that is not a typo. If you're doing that in Perl 5, it would be a typo, but it would still compile and cause you problems.
Doesn't anymore.
Yeah, true. True. That was that bug was fixed recently. Very true. But in Perl 6, this is how that works. Speaking as someone with roughly 15 to 20 years, depending on how you count, of experience helping out people on IRC and then helping out on Stack Overflow and Facebook and other places. One of the big problems that people face trying to learn Perl is, okay, now I know what the essentials are, why do they keep changing? Why do I start out with a S sign for an array and then have to use the $sign down here to represent $sign X bracket 5? And then use at to get bracket 1 and 2 at the same time. Why do I have to do that? We here, sitting here, have already internalized that and understand the meaning. Someone coming in from the outside is going to look at this, and I get this all the time for profile. Why do you have to change the size every time? It's too confusing. In Perl 6, the rule is simple. If you declare a variable with my, declare a variable sigil S sign, it stays S sign at every point through instruction. You can use different ways to cast that variable, or dereference that if you need to. But I don't find that as I do more and more Perl 6 work, I find I'm using references much less. In fact, I'm going to take some time out of my schedule to rewrite Perl 5, my current Perl 6 modules, to get rid of references to things where I'm using those and they don't really need to be done.
Trying to run out of time.
Some other things here to point out. In terms of the single pass grammar. In Perl 5, you have braces that do multiple duty. You have pairs that do multiple duty. You have even angle brackets that do multiple duty. They do different things in different contexts. In Perl 6, the braces.
One minute.
What's it?
Lightning talk starts.
Lightning talk, okay. I went through this much slower than I thought.
Speak faster.
Yeah.
17 and 40. Okay. Must be from one is. So by all means, I guess we're all going to move most of it down to the main room.
Can you pop the first slide back up just briefly so that we can remember where the slides are?
Okay, that'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just my repo, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.